What's up, junior high students? Listen, I want you to think about who are your closest friends and why are they your closest friends? Are they the same friends you had a year ago or 2 years ago, or have things changed? The reason I tell you that is because when I was in junior high and in 7th grade, I found a group of friends that I was incredibly close to. We did everything together. We hung out after school. We played on the same teams. We all played video games together. We were just so close. And I remember that summer that I was gone for most of the summer, traveling with my parents and just doing other things and going to camps. And I didn't really see them much. And I remember when I came back home and right before school started in 8th grade, I remember feeling like I had just missed a ton. And suddenly this group of friends that I was so close to was like I didn't belong anymore. And they had all grown and done other things that I wasn't really a part of. And suddenly there was a divide, and it was like I wasn't really a part of the group any longer. And so as I jumped into 8th grade, I remember thinking, I have to find a new group of friends. I have to look and find people who are like me, and what exactly am I looking for? And I'll tell you that story just to see if you can relate. Have you ever had a group of friends implode? Have you ever lost a relationship with a close friend or been forced to find new friends? Listen, making friends is something that you will do for the rest of your life, and who you choose to be your friends is a very important and pivotal part of who you will become. And relationships are a huge part of life, and not just dating relationships, but your friendships and the people in your family and the people on your teams and your teachers and the people that you'll work with one day. Relationships are a massive part of our lives, and you wouldn't be surprised to know that the Bible has a lot to say about relationships and how to have good and healthy relationships with the people around us. And I want us to look today at the book of Proverbs, which was written by a guy named Solomon. And God blessed Solomon with incredible wisdom. And just because he knew better doesn't mean that he always did better. And many of the things that Solomon learned and the wisdom that he gained, he learned by doing things the wrong way or just the hard way. And I think if we apply some of his wisdom, it will absolutely help us to have better and healthy relationships and friendships. Look at what he said. Put your outdoor work in order and get your fields ready. After that, build your house. Now, I know you must be thinking, I thought we were talking about friendships and relationships. What in the world does it have to do with fields and building a house? But look at what he's saying. He's saying if you want to build a house, first you have to get your fields and your land and everything else ready and prepared, and then you build the house. He's saying that there is an order to things, and that to be successful, you have to be prepared and take the right steps in the right order. And that is a principle that absolutely applies when it comes to our relationships with each other and with our friends and even dating relationships. Solomon's telling us here that being prepared is the best way to succeed, and we absolutely know that that's true. But how often do we try to be successful without having the right foundation in place? And we've all done this before. How often do you have a big test coming up, but you fail to study until 10 minutes before? You have a tryout coming up, or you have a big recital, but you don't practice or rehearse at all until the day before. Listen, we've all done it before, and Solomon's just reminding us here that to be successful, we have to take the right steps in the right order. And if we apply Solomon's wisdom to our relationships and our friends, here's what that means. It means that first, before you find a group of friends or a place to belong where you want to call home, he says first you have to figure out who you are. And you have to figure out who you want to be before you let another group define that for you. And so he's saying first, figure out who you are, and then secondly, find a group to belong. Another way to think about it is this. When it comes to relationships and friendships, becoming the right person is more important than finding the right group, which means it starts with you. And so many times we go out thinking, I want to be a part of this group or that group. I want to be known for this or that because that person is there or that person's there, or I want to date this person, whatever it looks like. But so many times we go out thinking, I want to be a part of this group or known for this before we really figure out who we are and who we want to be on our own. And here God is challenging us before you go out. He says, figure out who you are and who God wants you to be before you let a group influence who you will become. And it's a great challenge to you and to me. And here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about what kind of characteristics or traits do you want your group of friends to have? Do you want them to be nice or kind? Do you want them to be patient with you or supportive? Do you want them to have your back and to be there for you at all times? If those are things that you want them to have, I want you to ask yourself, do you have those traits or characteristics? If you were to write out all these characteristics and traits, it would be a pretty incredible list. And you might look at that and think, what a great group to be a part of. But I want you to know that God's challenge to us is that before we go and expect other people to do this to us, He wants us to think about ourselves and to become these things ourselves first. Are you patient with everyone all the time? Probably not, but it's something you can work on. Are you forgiving? Are you non-judgmental? And I want you just to take this challenge to heart, that before you go and find a group or expect this from other people, that God wants to challenge us to start with ourselves and to start to become those things on our own. You might find yourself in a relationship or a group of friends that are not those things. And I want you to know that maybe God is going to challenge and push you to find a new group or a new place to belong. Or maybe God wants to use you to influence the group that you are a part of, to help it become more and more like those things. But ultimately, students, here's the point. God wants us to focus on ourselves. And God wants you to think about where you stand with Him and who you are to Him. To not let other people influence who you are, but for you to just take time and work on yourself. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who does God say you are? And if you can work on that and get that right, it will make relationships and dating relationships and friendships and every other relationship you will ever have that much easier, knowing who you are and who God says you are. And ultimately, students, here's what I want you to remember, that when it comes to relationships, becoming the right person is much more important than finding the right group or place to belong.